So once you've started working with contacts and building your database, Opportunities is the next app that you want to start working on. And that is the handshake icon on the left side of your screen. You click the little red KW in the top left. You can click on Opportunities here. So basically, Opportunities is where you track your opportunities to help people buy, sell, or invest in real estate. So that's what an opportunity is. Ideally, you want to create an opportunity with someone as soon as they give you some type of intent to do business within, say, the next 12 months. So it's not just people that you're actively working with right now that you're running around showing houses to, or that you're about to list their house this week. It's people that might be 6 months out, 9 months out, or people that are that is urgent and it's right now. So it's important to track both types of opportunities because you want to make sure that you are staying top of mind with them, because in the real estate business, you are competing for mind share. So there are statistics that say that every person can think of at least two real estate agents at any given time. And you want to be one of those names that they think of. And so what can happen so easily is when people are, say, 6 months out, then you focus more on the people that are right now, which is important. But we kind of forget those people that are further out, and maybe we're not staying in touch with them. Maybe we don't have them on any smart plans. We're not calling them, reaching out to them. And then one day you run into them and they just wrote an offer with another agent, or you drive by their house and there's a for sale sign in the yard with another agent from ABC Realty. So you just never know. So you want to create opportunities with them so you can track them. And in Opportunities, you have two pipelines. There are three. We don't really focus on leases here. So I'm going to be focusing just on listings and buyers during this video. So you have listings pipeline and a buyer's pipeline with 5 different phases. They both go from cultivate to closed. So cultivate are those people that are a little further out. Appointment, maybe you are preparing for an appointment or you are meeting with them. Active, you're either putting their house on the market or you're actively showing them homes. Under contract, you've got a bound contract. And closed, self-explanatory, you have closed a transaction. So most real estate transactions tend to go through those 5 phases, but they might start anywhere within these first 3, because you never know. You might get a floor call from somebody who wants to go see a property right now, and then they write an offer on it. So sometimes you might skip the cultivate phase altogether, or you may even skip the appointment and it goes straight to active. So you can start in any one of those 3 phases. Now, as you use these pipelines and you move opportunities from phase to phase, and within each of those phases, there are also stages that you can fully customize. So you can make them named and whatever you want. There's checklists you can create in them so you can really keep your transactions organized. But as you use this system, Command will learn your unique business. So here you'll see like average time frame under each of these phases. So it's going to learn what's your average time frame of someone being in the appointment phase or the active phase. And what it's also going to do is over on the right, it calculates potential and probable income for all of your opportunities. So potential for each pipeline is how much you would make if everything closed, but we know that that's not always a realistic expectation. So we have the probable income that's an adjusted commission based on each stage's probability to close. So right now that's set up with just some default percentages, but as you use the system, it will learn kind of your own conversion there. So your own probabilities to close those transactions. You'll also see the volume of all of the transactions you have in each phase. And what you'll do in each of these phases, you can click in them. So if I click into active listings, I've got 2 there. So I have 2 just sample ones in here. And I can move these from phase to phase. I can click on it and drag it. So I can move it from one stage to another, or say it's under contract now, I can pick it up and move it up. And when it highlights blue behind it, you'll let it go, and that will move the stage or the phase that it's in. So then you can customize each of these stages. So if I click edit stages in the top right, These are all the stages that I have in the active one right now. So it might look different than yours just because I've played around with it in classes that I've taught. But each stage, you can create checklists for them. So for every, person that's in the prepare listing stage, maybe you have these checklist items. And so you can create everything that you do to prepare for a listing, or everything you do when you've just listed a property or when it goes under contract. And that way you can check these off in each individual opportunity. So instead of keeping up with the paper checklist, this is always with you because you can take command everywhere you go on your devices. So each of those checklist items can also be turned into something called a client update that we won't get too much into in this video. We just want to kind of go over the basics of opportunities, but I want y'all to know that there is an option where you can keep people up to date on what you're doing. So how you're working for them. And they'll know, hey, they scheduled the photographer, or they started creating the listing in the MLS. So you can enable any of these items as a client update, and you can go in and set these up where they'll receive an email, say, daily after a certain time if anything was checked off the list. So it doesn't mean that they would be emailed every day, just any day that you actually checked some of those off. So it's a great way to be transparent with your clients and to show them how hard you're working for them and what you're doing. So like I said, we won't get into all the details of how to do that, but keep that in mind as you're thinking of these checklist items and the ways that you can really utilize opportunities at a high level. So I'm going to click back to listings active in the top left. And then I'm going to click the little back button as well, again, to go back to my pipeline. So you want to create an opportunity. You will click create opportunity in the top right. And here you're going to fill out all of the information. So you're going to choose what type of opportunity is it? Is it a listing or buyer? So say it's a buyer. Then you'll have client name. They need to be in your database before you create an opportunity with them. So what's going to happen whenever you come here is you can search for your client's name and select them. Then you'll have an option for co-buyer or co-seller. And if you have connected their contacts, like we talked about in the last video, it will actually suggest their related contacts. So it's suggesting Minnie, which makes it easier for me to go ahead and select her. Then I can name my opportunity. It defaults to just client number one's name and the opportunity type. I could say it's Mickey and Minnie Mouse. Custom tags for opportunities, a little different than ones for contacts. These here, you can choose ways that maybe you could organize types of opportunities, maybe the ones that you would want to track. So say you created a custom tag for sale by owners and you wanted to keep track of every, for sale by owner that you worked with, so that as you're trying to get more potential for sale by owners to list with you, you're able to look in here and say, hey, actually last year I worked with 5 for sale by owners, and you were able to know that because you could filter your opportunities by that. Same thing with maybe new construction. You're trying to get a new builder client, and maybe you've tracked how many transactions new construction transactions that you've done, or Chattanooga transactions. Maybe you're trying to get more business in the Chattanooga area. So different ways you can think about that. So it's not uncommon to not have a custom tag on every opportunity. It's really something where if there is something like that you want to track, you can create it. But otherwise it's normal to not have anything. Estimated close date, you wouldn't want to put this in until you actually have a bound contract and have an estimated closing date. So keep that in mind. Don't just throw dates in here or anything like that, because it will try to show the office that you have a potential closing coming up then. And so you want to only put those in when you actually are under contract. So that's something you can add to the opportunity later. For buyers, you can put time frame. If this was a listing opportunity, some of the options are a little bit different. You can put budget. So for a listing, it would show an estimated list price. And then commission rate, you'll want to always put just the standard for one side of a transaction. So say 3, for example. And then if it were to change, you can change it in the opportunity later. So That's perfectly fine, but it's using that because it wants to calculate the probable income. So if I put that their budget was 300,000, it would calculate, potential income based off of the 3% of that. And then you would choose what phase it's in. So like I said, you could start in any one of those first 3 phases. And then you'll choose the stage that it's in, and then you'll create. So I'm going to go to one that I already have on here so that I don't have to create another one. I'll go to one that's kind of filled out. So this is what an opportunity will look like when you create it. And of course, you'll add additional information. So there will be a lot of info that's already filled out here, just because this is an opportunity that I've already used. But you can edit any of these sections with these pencil icons. So the pencil icon will allow me to come in and edit dates. So do I have an appointment scheduled? Did we actually meet? Did we sign an agreement like a buyer's rep or a listing agreement? Under contract dates, commission rate you can change, all kinds of things like that. So you can edit all of that here. You can add the property address. If it's a listing, you'll actually connect it up here in the top left. And if it's a buyer, you'll manually enter the property address in this property section here. So those are some important things to know about opportunities. When you watch the DocuSign training videos, you'll see how you go into the Documents tab and actually create a DocuSign transaction room, so it all connects, so that you're not necessarily leaving command to do those additional things for your business. It's all connected in here. So we get into the Documents tab in that. So it is important to come in here and update things and add these dates for tracking purposes, because it's going to help you learn, how many appointments you've had and how many you have under contract and when things are closing and different things like that. This lost opportunity button over here on the top right, if an opportunity falls through and there is no way that you're going to squeeze a real estate transaction out of it in any shape or form, you want to mark it as a lost opportunity, because you want to keep track of how many opportunities that you truly lost. If it's a transaction that falls through, like maybe a buyer that you had a contract with and the contract fell through, and maybe they were just going to take a little bit of time, or maybe they're just going to start looking immediately again. Either way, you can simply move them backwards on the pipeline. So they can go backwards from under contract back to cultivate or back to active, so that you continue to use that same opportunity for that client throughout the whole process. So that is what an opportunity looks like. So the last thing I'll show you is if you go back to the homepage of opportunities, so just click on that handshake icon, all opportunities at the top left. When you click on that, this is going to show you all of your opportunities. So right now it's showing me everything, whether it has closed, like regardless of what phase that it's in. Now you can filter these. So if you've ever seen an agent have a whiteboard maybe in their office, this can be like your digital whiteboard to see things like what you have, everything you have under contract right now, like listings and buyers. You could have a filter for just that. And so you can do your filters here, and you would come in and say, okay, I want to see listings, buyers that are under contract, and apply. You can do date ranges and things like that, but I don't need that for this one. I just want to apply. And so now it's showing me just my under contracts. Now I want to keep up with those. So then what I can do is click this drop down menu right here, and I can create a new smart view for my under contracts, which you'll see that I have right here, and save that so that every time I come in here, I can click on that to see just my under contract files. And also you can make that the default one. So if you want that to be what you always see by default when you come in, then you can do that. And you would just make sure to toggle back to all opportunities when you needed to search for something there. So it is important to kind of really create these systems for yourself. We talked about that with our database, and it's just as important with your transactions. You want to Be consistent from the beginning with these systems and updating them and adding that information so that that way you have an accurate pipeline, you have an organized pipeline, and it's really going to set you up for success. So that's some basics that you can do with opportunities. Like I said, there's a lot more that you can kind of get into later once you kind of have a good grasp on these beginning steps.